My Sil thinks I am obnoxious. She's my BF's eldest sibling and very protective of her baby and also very religious, so her baby dating, pantsuit wearing, neon colored hair having, bisexual atheist feminist with 2 moms was a lot for her to take in. I am F32, he is male 38, Sil is F56, and stepmale is F69. Over the 3 years my BF and I have been together, she has only been more vocal about it. It did first start with small snarky comments, but now it's full in your face criticism. It got worse when he moved in with me as we aren't married. Well, one of her longest running jabs is that I look scary but I'm just mild and boring whilst I try to cosplay as edgy. Fair play to her for sewing and cosplay. Gold star. She's evolving, unless I have any skeletons in my closet. I am a happy person and have little issues with laughing at myself, so I always just laugh it off when she says she will find my skeletons in my closet. It was my birthday recently, so we had everyone over, and when my BF went out for decorations he returned with a plastic skeleton and held it up with that "We're so immature but you're in, right?" look on his face and said, "You thinking what I'm thinking?" And fuck me, I was. This cheeky asshole was giving me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I laughed and said, "You son of Sith, I'm effing in," so we set the trap. Well, surely enough, Sil was busy telling anyone who would listen that we're unmarried, sleeping in the same bed, I smoke weed, she could smell it. The usual, and I ignored her, and then she went on about me cosplaying as edgy and not being an authentic person, and someday she will find my skeletons in my closet. My BF started to laugh and I said, "Oh, you didn't notice?" and walked her to our coat closet near the front door and opened it. There was Skeletor the skeleton propped up against the corner. We had a goo-d laugh and my Bill said, "Fucking hell, you finally found it," and when I turned to her, it went from a good-natured laugh to a nightmare. She was red in the face, silent, and crying. She slapped me and left without a word. I was stunned by the slap and not even prepared to deal with Stepmill, who asked me if I was happy mocking the woman who raised my BF and that I'm such a disrespectful ass, but this was a new low. She and a few others started telling me how shitty I was for embarrassing Sil and mocking her in front of everyone. The party naturally died from the party's foul wounds and was DOA, so most everyone left within the hour. BF has been trying to cheer me up and took me to see Deadpool and got me takeaway so we can binge watch our show and veg out, but Sil texted me a paragraph about how she's tried with me, but I am determined to be a morally corrupt violation of her family, and she is devastated that I hate her enough to make a mockery of her. I replied with an apology that I hurt her, and I genuinely thought it was just a laugh we could share, and offered to take her to lunch to talk it out. She said she was disinterested in dealing with me further, and when my BF wised up and leaves me, she would celebrate. There are texts from others and group chats where I am being torn apart as vicious and malicious, and my mind is boggled. Update 1. Sil took to social media and made a post and tagged me. It was a novel long, but the short of it is that I am a hateful woman who doesn't respect parental figures, and it must be because I am an orphan. According to the post, I am on drugs and lured her baby onto them too. I've turned him against God and his family. My man damn near blew the lid off our home when he saw it, as he is on FB more than me. He called her and demanded she take it down, but the damage was pretty much done. Family out of the woodwork are sending me rehab center links, church counseling links, and sex addiction help, and my personal favorite is before me, and after me photo comparisons, where before me is a photo of him in church with his family at a Mother's Day service, and after is a snap of him at a concert with his tattoos showing, drinking and clearly drunk. Some people even came to the house to stage an intervention. My guy only started to shout and make them leave our home when I was referred to as a classless hussy and shameless slut. Let me be transparent, we use THC and weed, but it's legal here and we have jobs and maintain a good life. The after me photo is not actually from when we were dating, it was beforehand. And I am not an orphan. Sil is married to an alcoholic who just recently got hammered and wrecked their car, then got arrested for being belligerent with the police and refusing to leave after his car was towed. All over some freaking dummy? Oh, and I am a shameless slut. So that one felt like a compliment. So I talked with him about limiting contact and he got upset. He loves his family, and despite this freak show, he loves his sister. He got stressed out and started to have a panic attack. I helped him recenter, got him water, and held him until he was calm again, and he asked we give it a bit of time to die down and he will try to talk sense into Sil. So we're giving it fucking time. I'm not mad at him. I know this is hard for him, but this is crap, and I am being bombarded with texts and even emails telling me I am some demon woman who is shooting up my so who hates Christians, and none of that is even true. Update 2. My BF Dean, I am a Supernatural fan, so sue me lol, sat me down a few days after my last post. He was very, very calm, and that was my first sign that I needed to gird my loins because I was in for a doozy. For background, generally, I am the calm logically lead one while he is passionate and deep feeling. In this, we became polar opposites of that norm. He looked me right in the eye and asked me point blank, no bullshit, how this was all affecting me. Every time he would ask. Before, I just couldn't bring myself to tell him how upsetting it all was, since I was the put together one all the time, but this time, because he was so calm and direct, I just broke down. Nightmare isn't the word. It was hell. We live around what is known as a small big city, meaning it's big sure, but once you get in certain circles you find that everyone knows you, and you know most everyone, or at least someone who knows them. So, in a way, it can be like a small town. Our state is generally religious outside our city. So rumors spread. With my sills, I will call her Ren going forward, social media attacks on me, it was the scuttlebutt everyone craved. Some people sided with her, not most, but enough. I was getting dirty looks and rude treatment. My hairstylist is their cousin and she told me she can't work on my hair anymore until this is resolved, as she was getting pressure from the family, i.e. Ren and stepmeal Penny. It was schoolyard and immature, but it was enough to make me feel bad. I got done saying all this to Dean, and he said, okay then, we will block them. So matter of fact. I knew it is a hard thing to decide on for him, as he loves the shit out of his family and they are his world, so I pushed back at the idea, saying as much and that I could never stand in the way of him and his whole family. I started to cry harder, and he had to sit me down and get me some wine and water and blanket burrito ed me and hugged me until I could talk again. I said I couldn't live with myself knowing I made him choose me over his family, and he said I hadn't made him, they did. We then started talking logistics because he wasn't budging. I was sad the whole time, because I am usually tough and have a don't give a shit attitude, but he is so close to them and I am not overly close with most of my own family. I hated taking something so rare and beautiful away from him, my fault or not. We cut them off. Blocked almost everyone after sending a text about what was happening and why. And worse, it was Ren's birthday party the next day. I took my guy to a festival happening in the city so he wouldn't have to think about it, and we were out until 2 or 3 the next morning. When we got home, our neighbor said we had a lot of people coming to knock on our door. 1 or 2 at a time. And a couple then asked our neighbors if we were home. Later, when I was making lunch, the police came by for a wellness check. They said his mother is concerned about him. Him. Not me. Just him. Dean said coldly that his mother is dead, and if his father's wife sent them, he wanted it on record that they were not in touch and he wanted no contact. Penny was at our door by dinner. Some of this was before I got into the room because I was cooking, but Dean told me he heard a knock and thought it was the neighbors and opened without looking. Ren was standing there, eyes red as if she had been crying. She asked to come in, and he said no, so she started to cry, loudly, and I heard it and came to see what the fuss was. She had fallen into him sobbing and wailing, asking what she did that was so wrong that he's treating her like this. That he's her baby, and she loves him, but he is so cold and mean to her now and all that bullshit. I was angry, but I saw his face, he was tearing up and pushed her away, asking her to leave. That's when she saw me. She was sobbing an apology like, I am so sorry if I ever made you feel like you're not family. You won. Please don't take my baby from us. She went on to say if this is about their religion then they won't pray around me and stuff like that, and when she finally stopped rambling I said it was not about their religion. I am an atheist, sure, that's my choice. But I don't mind people having faith in something. I actually somewhat envy people who do, as I just don't and probably can't. I told her it was about my treatment from her and others in the family. That I was cast as the villain for almost 3 fucking years and I was prepared to grin and bear our whole natural lives, but then she gets nastier with me with the gossip mill, and above all that, she put hands on me. She had the absolute gumption, gall to slap me, and the family collectively decided to let that slide. I won't tolerate physical abuse. I had an abusive ex. I won't be accepting that. Ever. Honestly, that was the singular thing that made me realize 2 things. She will never respect or care about me, and more, that I can never respect her ever from that moment on. It all just flooded out of me. I never yelled. I was just firm and direct about it. This is what happened. This is the hurt you did, and here are the consequences. She practically collapsed in our home wailing by the time I finished, and she would interject, okay you hate me, I get it, or I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, and things like that. I asked Dean to get her water, and he did. When he returned and handed her the glass, he said she should drink something, and she shook her head and said that she couldn't. We asked her if she hurt herself getting to the ground, and she just got really calm and wiped her eyes and had this weird frown, tears still streaming down. She told us that she came to apologize, and she apologized, but we've been clear we don't want anything to do with her or the family, and that breaks her heart. She can't eat or drink anymore because life is not worth living knowing Dean hates her. Dean shook his head but said nothing other than don't mistreat yourself like that. That's not fair. Then she just walked through the door and said that I won, he's mine, and to please take care of him for her. The moment the door closed, Dean started to cry. I tried to comfort him, but he pulled away. He said he isn't mad at me or anything, but that was just a lot, and he feels like shit. He told me he knew she was being manipulative, but he almost wanted to take her apology because it's just been so hard and he knows she why. LL spin this somehow to make us look as callous and hateful as possible, and his father would be ashamed of him. A week goes by, and Dean has cheered up a bit. He apologized to me for crying, to which I said he never has to apologize to me for his feelings or crying or anything like that, and that I am proud of him for being rational in an entirely irrational moment. He is making friends and picking up hobbies where family events would be like instead of mass and Sunday dinner. He goes to shoot hoops with a community group. He signed up for a patch on the community garden, and he's been taking the time he would usually take to hang out with Penny and help around the house to volunteer at the animal shelter down the way from our home. He came home this past Monday in a bad mood. He was honest that he was upset and would be bad company, so he needed space, so I obliged and went out with a friend. When I came home, He asked me to sit down and said he logged into social media, and a friend messaged him a post that Penny made about Ren asking for prayers. Ren was severely depressed and had quit doing much of anything according to the post, and she was suffering from the heartbreak of her life, but they didn't explain what that was. This friend of Dean's comment if there is anything we can all do, and Penny replied pray and nothing more. Yesterday rolled around and Bill Teddy calls. He's not blocked or cut off because he's been having our backs, to tell us Ren is in the hospital as she tried to take all of her meds at once. She's been asking for Dean. I told him that she's in the hospital, and he could go to her if he wanted, and I even will go with him or not depending on what he told me he needed, but he refused to go. He's been blue ever since, and I'm worried. Ren is practically a mother to him, so I know it's hard. I feel like shit because this is really all because I agreed to some stupid joke to fire back at hers. Normally, I would just say these are manipulatio and tactics, but to down pills out of spite is some next level commitment to the bit, and I feel like I've really shattered my man's world. I don't know if I need to give him time, or sit him down right now, or up our therapy, or take him on a vacation or fucking what. He's my person. I hurt when he hurts. And we're fucking hurting right now. Update 3. We've endured a lot from his family at this point. From them calling into my job to complain about me, to the police coming by because I'm abusing him. I won't make this another War and Peace manuscript by typing all that happened out, but it's been a lot. Dean got a job elsewhere in the state. It's been a roller coaster for him. We talked it out and he accepted. He doesn't want to be near family anymore. Well, that Medusa of a woman found out and Teddy told us she's throwing a fit. So I just knew she would come around soon. I told Dean this and he looked at me and said, "You think so?" And I said, "I know so." So he came home that next day with more skeletons. They are propped up around the porch, in the yard, and next to the garage. They have names. He named them. Boney Stark, Marrow Monroe, Tibia Turner. He's given them backstories. The man has lost his mind, lol. Sure enough, she showed up. We have a ring cam now, so we both got alerts and saw her coming. He got up and said he would take care of it, so I just watched the cam and stayed in bed. He tells her to leave and she demanded to know why he was moving. She was blaming it on me, making it seem like I bullied him into the job and he needed to come to his senses and leave me. He refused. So she slapped him. Twice. Then started to cuss at him, hitting him with her fists, and he backed up and pushed her away. Then she falls and starts to scream that he's hit her and that he's a monster and she's calling for help. She woke up the whole neighborhood with her bullshit. Dean was doing his best to stay calm but opened the door and told me to call the poli. Say. And I watched her smugly say that if he dares, she will tell them that he and I attacked her. And shows him her arm, and says she has the injuries, and no one will believe him. He just stared at her and went inside. She went nuts and threw Boney Stark into the rose bushes. Then, she sat on our porch just fucking chilling until the police arrived. She threw on the waterworks the moment the cop car pulled in. She actually had gotten out of the chair meant for Boney, laid down on the stairs, and started to cry. Police sorted this pretty quickly because as Oscar worthy of a performance she gave, we had footage. It was my turn to be smug. I cast it on our large TV for all to see. She cussed me out saying I was a bitch and a loser, a harpy who charmed her baby and lunged for me. Dean got in the way and told her to get the fuck out of our house and that she's disgusting and manipulative. He then said, "I'm not your baby. And you know what? Thank you. Thank you for showing me who you are. Now I can't wait to get away from you. Good job." I think she figured it all out in that moment because this time when she cried, I believed her. She just sobbed and the cops took her outside. We had her legally removed and put in a request for a restraining order. We currently have a temporary one for the case to be reviewed, but it expires after we move, so now we are just being careful about our information. Dean was really sad the first few days but now is excited. He keeps talking about the city we are moving to. It's very fun, odd, and has a lot of live music and events. I know he will mourn it once it catches up with him and he's keeping busy to not think about it too much, but it is good to see him smile. I miss that. The family tried harassing us but he would forward the footage and tell them if they don't want him to go fully NC to cut it out and keep her under control. Sometimes it makes him cry and other times it just makes him mad. I've asked if he wanted me to take over some of this and he says no. He just wants us to ride this out, pack up, and get settled in the city. Oh, and the skeletons are coming with us. Now on to second story. Partner's family demanded a paternity test for our daughter despite her being his spitting image, and now my parents refuse to have him around. My partner and I have been together for over 4 years and I recently gave birth to our daughter. We had kept the pregnancy to ourselves till our baby was born happy and healthy due to worries about complications as I faced a high-risk pregnancy. We told our families after she was born. While my family was ecstatic, his was questioning if we hid it for ulterior reasons. They've always heavily disliked me and believe I'm just with their son for money. Yesterday we took her to meet her grandparents from his side and, after some polite conversation, they dropped the bomb that they would be doing a paternity test that he agreed to. To not make myself look suspicious I agreed to it, but afterward made it clear to my partner that I felt incredibly disrespect. Cue an argument where he told me it wasn't a big deal if it was his and that the test was requested for by them to ease their uncertainty. Fast forward to today, I was having lunch with my mother and told her about the incident, which left her pissed off and calling my partner a couple of names for insinuating I could have cheated. My mother ended up telling my grandparents, who in a rage told him they would no longer accept him in their house for disrespecting me in such a way when the child is practically his twin. We had another argument about it and he screamed, saying I ruined his image by telling them. Ada? Edit. Some of you are concerned about the hiding my pregnancy part, so to clarify. My partner and I live a couple hours away from our family since we live by his university and typically only see each other on holidays and specials events. On top of that, I have a very petite figure and had a rather small bump up until I gave birth, so I was hardly showing as is, which made hiding it a lot easier. Hiding it was a personal choice as I faced horrible anxiety due to constant bleeds throughout my pregnancy, which made me fear the worst. Update 1. My partner was also incredibly happy as well, since we would now be receiving their support due to the confirmation of my daughter being his. For reference, since he's studying and doesn't work, his family pays for his school and his half of bills. I, on the other hand, work and pay my half of bills myself. In other words, he's reliant on them financially despite my insistence that we could survive off my salary. To his dismay though, with the confirmation of his paternity assured, I told him I wanted a break from him and his family's antics. This is not the first stunt they pull that antagonizes me, and before this is flooded with questions as to why I didn't leave sooner. I was naive and thought our love for each other would beat their disapproval of our relationship. It wasn't, that is clear to me now. We ended up arguing over it, but, against his wishes, I packed a bag for me and the baby anyways and drove to stay with my parents. He apologized at night and agreed that his part in the entire paternity stunt was messed up, but that he agreed it had to be done even if he was certain she was his. Fast forward to yesterday, he texted me asking if I was willing to see him as he missed me and the baby. I agreed, assuming we could move past the whole ordeal. My family is still against him stepping foot in their house, so we ended up meeting at a park to walk around. He apologized again and told me that the test was done so his family could trust me and willingly be a part of our daughter's life. Thought I admitted that I had no intentions of letting them be around her till they at least apologized to me. This heated him up and he began screaming, claiming that as her father I had no right to keep her from his family no matter what they did. I disagreed though, advising him that if they couldn't respect me they had no reason to be a part of her life. The argument went nowhere and I left with the baby back to my parents. He's since been texting and calling me saying that he'd take me to court if I deprive his family access to her. I don't think my position on the matter is wrong, but to him I'm an off for it. Edit. Before any more comments are made about my position about his parents. There's more to it than just the test. I had always stressed to my partner that I wanted his mother specifically at a distance from our child. This was due to how horrific she treated us both for the first year of our relationship prior to us moving out together. Secondly, the woman is bipolar and abused my partner both physically and mentally when he was growing up as a child due to him having ADHD and being more hyper. This is what he told me at least. Knowing this, I'm obviously weary of his mother around my daughter. The paternity test was just the nail on the coffin for me. Update 2. As if the paternity test, awful in-laws, and disrespect wasn't enough, my partner was also cheating on me. According to him, it was all emotional and nothing physical, although I find a hard time believing this. Turns out this emotional affairs have been going since I was pregnant, with multiple girls. He got caught after deciding last second to meet up with one of them at 11 p.m. one night. He claims they were just playing poker with a group and weren't alone together. Likely story. He was ignoring my messages and calls, so I called his best friend, thinking he was with him, who gave him away. Since then, we obviously broke up and I moved down with my family and our daughter. Originally, I tried to be a bigger person and consider our daughter before my own feelings and decided to co-parent. He would come see her on weekends and for a while it worked. Soon enough he also moved down to his mother's house after his semester ended and he claimed our place was too much for him to pay alone. This, although maybe not a lie, wasn't his real reason for moving down. Due to his lack of attending class and poor grades he was kicked from his university. This is relevant for later. Fast forward a bit, and he's began demanding to have her overnight rather than only the day. I told him he couldn't because she was still strictly breastfed and needed me at all times. He decided to argue our custody at court once and for all. Granted, up until now, I hadn't asked him for a penny for our daughter ever or much of anything really. If he saw her it was his choice and I never made him pay me any sort of child support. After going to court, not only does he have to pay me quite a hefty sum for child support, but he wasn't even awarded partial custody. The court discovered that on top of not having a stable job, he also doesn't have a stable living situation after his mother kicked him onto the streets. Yeah, the mother dearest that he was at beck and call for left him homeless and disowned him after she discovered he was kicked out of his university. For as much as I want to say it's karma, I don't believe anyone deserves to be in any situation like that. That was all back in June. Now, he and I are doing better. He's moved into a studio and we agreed he could have her every other week plus on his off days from work. Admittedly, it's been hard to not break down whenever he's around me. I still feel a lot of the pain from when I discovered I endured so much just for him to find solace with other women. But, he and I have moved past it for the most part and are co-parenting without problems. Thankfully, I want to say I've come out stronger. Our daughter has become my main focus and I even advanced in my career to a place where I can live rather comfortably.